Hi everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing sort of like an older book, but I just read it for the first time and I'm kind of like just really excited to talk about it with someone, so thus we're going to review it. And it's been a long time coming, so I read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. It's by Stephanie Meyer and it's an Eclipse novella. I was going to say Eclipse novella. Um, but yeah, so I've had this on my shelf for about a year, and I have been meaning to pick it up. I read Midnight Sun and was in such a Twilight mood and realized, hey, I hadn't read this, and I don't know why I kept putting it off. But we finally read it, and flew by it. It's about 100 and something pages, um, and there's a short little like the beginning of like the host, like a little preview, which I already read like years ago. And if you want to stay for this review and hear a part of Twilight kind of review, go ahead. If not, don't have to watch it. Also, this book contains spoilers for Eclipse and possibly for the first couple of books. So if you have not yet read them, please do not watch this video unless you want to be spoiled, because this book takes place like a snippet of it in Eclipse. And during the events of Eclipse, but obviously we're in like her perspective, so she's in a different like part of Seattle, and we saw this scene through Bella's eyes in Eclipse. That's really at the end though. The whole beginning part and middle part took place like during the events of Eclipse, but in another part of Washington, we were in Seattle, and it just tells the story of Bree, and I think it's just really sad. But then at the end, she's just so like, you know what, I got like my revenge. I'm happy. I knew this was gonna come. By hearing all that I'm hearing now, like, it's crazy that I was believing all these lies, or, you know, everyone had believed these lies for so long, and like it took me this long to like realize it. And that's another thing. We get introduced to Bree at the beginning, and she is just kind of hunting, and she doesn't start really questioning things, at least out loud, until she starts talking to Diego. And at that point, like, she mentions how she really didn't really think about it too much. Um, and like that is when like everything kind of first started, where they kind of started like second guessing Riley's intentions and stuff. So I was just like, girl, why are you not like figure it out already? Like, not figure it out, but like, why you not leave? You're clearly strong enough, you're clearly smart enough. I don't think you had to figure everything out. You were willing to like bolt right then and there once you put two and two together, and you were just waiting for Diego. They were Diego was supposed to tell Riley that he can go out in the sun, and Bree was like, don't do it. And then he went and he did it, and then um, Bree was just sitting there overthinking, and she was like, you know what, we can go. And I'm like, why didn't you do that before? Because you're so uncomfortable. And clearly, like, you're only going there just to like find shelter from the sun, and because it's all and there was some kind of inclination of like, a little thought in there that you somewhat knew something was wrong. Um, but it took this to like bring it out of you to react. So I don't know. That kind of seemed kind of weird for me. I think that Bree like would have left without Diego. She hadn't even met him. Um, but maybe, Diego brought something out in her that was like stronger. But like, honestly, the two only knew each other for like 12 hours. And then they were already like falling in love with each other. And I'm just like, what is happening? It was instant. It was like, if you talk about Edward and Bella's love like happening instantaneously, I mean, it happens over time when you read like Edward's. Like, Bella was like night and day, but like Edward's was like, he realized, and there was like this little, you know, kind of creeping realization that was like happening as time went on, and he like, it hit him like a full on truck. And so then he was like, oh, that's what it is. But this was just kind of like, she saw him in the sun, and she was just like, he's so good looking. Yeah, okay. And the guy, she was, I think, 15, 14. Um, and he was like 18. And I'm just like, okay, I guess it doesn't matter if you're a vampire, but you got turned like 2 weeks ago. So technically, like, this is weird and your body should still be like, this is illegal. But then you're out there hunting and wanting blood too. So who knows? I wanted Diego to be in there longer. I did like his character. And then when he left, I was like, girl, he dead. He's gone. Like, you gotta go. Like, is this not any clearer? Like, he's gone. Like, Riley killed him. Or, like, took him to Victoria and killed him. Like, you should have been gone. As soon as you saw the black coats coming black, you should have been out of there. Like, with or without Diego. But she was in love. Fred, I think, was by far one of my favorite characters. He, like, I wish that there was a Midnight Sun kind of version of Eclipse, because I did not like Eclipse compared to the rest of them. It was not my favorite. But obviously I understand its purpose, and it was a good book either way. But if I would have seen Eclipse, that one little scene where Bree's, like, communicating and showing all these, like, visions of, like, what knowledge she has, like, I so would have wanted to see that in Eclipse, because Edward's, like, reading her mind, and he's, like, obviously knowing that Jane is a liar, and she wanted, like, Victoria to kill the Cullens, and she wanted Edward on her side, or didn't want to deal with the Cullens. I forget if Jane was, like, gunning for, like, Edward to be, like, in their team. Obviously she didn't want Alice, because she wanted to be the most powerful one. But, like, just, like, the amount of information that Bree just, like, gave Edward in that one moment, I was just like, what? Like, what? I want to go back and, like, reread, like, his not, like, his like, how he, like, I guess, how Bella read, like, how he was, like, moving, and if he, like, raised his eyebrows and, like, maybe, like, showed some kind of inclination that he was, like, receiving more information than he bargained for, or, like, kind of, like, realizing that, yeah, Jane is messed up, but she's even more messed up than, we thought. Or, like, oh yeah, Jane did that. I kind of knew that, but thank you for clarifying. I wanted something, but yeah, that's all we got. The way that she describes the Cullens, like, I was not sure who was who, because the way she was like, it was this person, and this, I was like, has it been that long since I've read, like, the first couple of books that I have no clue what these people look like anymore? Or, like, there was more people there, or, like, do I not remember the scene as clearly as I thought? Because the movie scene was the one that was in my head, and I'm trying to think back to the book, and I was like, yeah, that happened, okay, who else was there? Okay. And then the scene where, like, Carlisle's, like, approaching Bree and saying, it's okay, child, and everything. Clearly we know that's Carlisle. And then, like, Jasper, like, having to take care. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I don't remember that. And he was like, cover your eyes. And so seeing their interactions and seeing that whole scene, like, it wasn't just like they found Bree and she was sitting there and Bella's like, hey, look, okay, newborn, she's gonna join us. No, Jane killed her. Okay. Like, there was a whole thing that, like, happened, and, like, there was, like, a whole mind exchange, and, like, her, like, trying to figure out if Jasper, like, had some kind of ability or not, and, like, being like, oh, like, I wanted her to kind of compare it to, like, Fred's ability, because they're very similar. Fred, like, creates, like, this, like, repulsiveness to, like, stay away from him, whereas Jasper kind of, like, makes you feel his feelings, or whatever feeling he wants you to, and to see Jasper, like, kind of lose control of that. I don't think I saw that in the books. And just kind of, like, whenever he was, like, feeling frustrated, she would feel it, that he just kind of let that happen. Like, that was pretty interesting. So, yeah, lots of good stuff in this book. Lots of interesting, like, I forget that this book was written way back when, and so there were things that, like, were said, or the way they joked around, I'm like, I haven't joked around like this or said these things or been around these type of things in a very long time, and I'm like, that's because it wasn't written recently. So it was nice kind of being brought back to that. And then every vampire kind of just, like, freaking out about going into the sun. believing that they were gonna like burn to ashes. Like, I didn't know that this was what they were being told. Like, all the stuff that like Riley was like telling them, like, I was just like, I didn't know this. And then there was like this one night like a year when the sun and the moon and the planets meet. I don't know, but like, and that's when they could go out. Just like the dumbness of some of the things that like Riley was telling them, and I'm just like, how have none of you tried to at least like rebel against this? Like, you really, like, you don't like these people. Why do you keep like coming? Like, this is all you know. I get it. Like, you know, you trust this individual, but not a lot of you trust them, and there's a lot of rebellious like vampires in there. So none of you you're telling me none of you accidentally stayed up like past like the time where the sun comes up. Like, none of you tried this, because like Diego tried it in an instant because he was like, huh, and like, so you guys were all like scaredy cats, and none of the 22 of you tried to do anything. You know, like, there were the ones that like disappeared, like that I guess didn't make it back in time, and Riley said that they were burnt. I guess like they were caught, but then like, I don't know. I figured that one of them would at least try something, or at least try to leave. But I kind of wanted more information if like those vampires did or didn't, but we wouldn't have known because like that's not to Bree's knowledge, and this is from her point of view. Also, them just like getting up and leaving and just like not even telling them, like, how are they supposed to, like, did Riley put full trust in Diego to get her back, like, or like get at least himself back? Like, I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't you leave some kind of note? Why wouldn't you tell them, hey, we're going to be over here now? Like, they just had to figure it out. And Bree was like, we could have just bolted. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, you could have just like left, and it would have been like, okay, like, why did you come back? Like, it was just kind of like, again, all they knew, the trust and everything, but like, they were already questioning too much. And what infuriated me the most was Diego's trust in Riley, although he was like thinking about like what he was doing, and that it might be wrong and there might be more to like meets the eye, like, and he was still like, I trust my boy. And I'm like, Diego, no, your boy gonna kill you. So yeah, and then Bree and Fred's like relationship, I think, blossomed in a very interesting way, and I really liked it. Um, I think that Riley knew about what had Diego had told her because he was like listening intently. I think Riley was much smarter than he let on, and he for sure was listening or figuring out some way of like, that he knew that they were there when they were out in the forest. Like, how could they not? Like, they were talking about like how they would like mask their like their scents and everything, but they're vampires. At the end of the day, they're gonna catch the scent of something. Like, you know, like how could going to one tree, like, I don't know, like, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, he knew, bro knew you were there. But the way that they like buried the bodies under the rock in the water, like all this stuff, I'm just like, oh, whoa, I did not know about this. And like her going full vampire, like not having control and everything. And then the scene where she wants to go after Bella, but she like doesn't because she is like exhibiting some self-control. Like, I'm like, I remember that from the book. That I remembered from the book. But like, girl, like, you have no control. But that's all she's known. She just has no control over it. But yeah, I honestly think that, yeah, Riley just kind of, he had more ways and manipulation than I think even Bree knew. And also like, I just think that Diego went so willy nilly about like trying to figure out, like, he not even trying to figure out, he just did it. He just kind of like, I'm gonna stick myself in the sun, I'm gonna go and do this, and like, I like, he did not like exhibit any forms of caution in any way possible. And I was just like, bro, like, you just go, you have complete and total like trust in something. And I got to see kind of how like young Riley was in a lot of ways, because like they were like, you know, joking around, the way the language he was using. We only got like snippets of Riley in Eclipse, so I was just like, dude, you're young, like, oh my god, like, you're just joking around, hanging with your guys some of these times. And I'm just like, wow. And the fact that Diego's like, death really like affected you like that, like whoa, like, you know. But yeah, all in all, I really like this book. Really wish it was longer. The beginning, when Diego just like died after going to talk to Riley, I knew it was going to happen, but it just felt so fast. Their love again felt so fast. Um, but everything after that, like it was pretty good. There was a section in the middle, not in the middle, it was more towards the end, where I felt like Bree was like just kind of describing things that she was like seeing while they were like preparing to fight, and I felt it was just kind of just to put there like as fluff. Was not really necessary, but I will say that just the things that they were told, these lies that they were told in order to go and attack the Cullens, was very interesting. The fact that they were like, these vampires are ancient, that's why their eyes are yellow and blah blah this and blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh my god, they were told all these different things that I never knew about. So it's good to be like in the loop now with all the other Twilight lovers, as to what was going on, those who have read this book already. And I really, really, really hope that Stephanie writes more. At least give me like a second in the host, because the host was good. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.